Hello everyone. This is Mishka here. I hope everyone's doing well today. And thank you for joining us. Just gonna wait here for our guest today. We're going to have Katie Vernoy from Therapy Reimagined join us. So I'm just gonna give it a moment here for her to be able to join us. Hi Michelle, nice to see you. Hi, thank you for coming. We're gonna get started in a couple of minutes. Okay, so let me see here. Just want to be able to make sure Katie can join. There we go. I think Katie's here, so all right. Let me. Okay, hi everyone. Thanks for coming. We're just waiting for Katie to join us. There she is. Hi,
Hello.
Katie. Hello.
I'm like, how do I get my phone far enough so you can actually see my whole face?
I can see you. I can see you perfectly. Can you
Oh,
see
okay,
me and
great.
hear me well?
I can. And you can hear me okay?
Yes. Yes,
Perfect.
and yay, I'm so glad you're able to join us. I'm so excited to have you here today and have this wonderful conversation about the modern therapist movement.
Woohoo!
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! So before we get started with our conversation, Katie, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit more about you, who you are, and what you do?
Okay. I ask this question all the time, and I'm like, oh, I got to answer this question
Yeah.
now.
Now it's your turn.
Now it's
Yeah.
my turn. So I'm Katie Vernoy. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist out in the Los Angeles area. I have a podcast called The Modern Therapist Survival Guide with Kurt Widhelm, who's also an MFT out here with me in LA. And then the two of us also co-founded the Therapy Reimagined conference, which the Kimball Collective is very generously sponsoring for us this year, which is nice. We've got such amazing sponsors that we've been able to connect with, but we'll talk more about that later. I have been in leadership in the California Association of Marriage and Family Therapists, which is one of the places Mishka and I have met. And I think that's probably enough for now.
Yes. And by the way, I'll have to say that the podcast is amazing. I've
Oh,
listened to
thank
it a
you.
lot. I've listened to it a lot and it's helped me a lot and I love it. So I highly recommend it for other therapists. I see that we have quite a few therapists joining us live. So
Woohoo!
so hello everyone. Thank you for joining. Yes, and so we are so excited to be part of the Therapy Reimagined conference. I know I've been telling people this is the conference of the year. You don't
Thank
want to
you.
miss it. So tell us a little bit more about the conference.
So the conference itself is our answer, Kurt's and my answer to what we thought was missing in clinical education, in therapist education. We wanted to focus in on clinicians, who we really are. And so that means having a broader diversity of speakers because we're not all white men. It's
Correct.
also looking at folks who have different perspectives and are willing to push back against the status quo. I was
Yes.
just talking to someone earlier today, and we are looking at folks who want to look at what the work we do critically, with a critical eye, with a loving eye, with an excited eye, but not a compliant one. Because I think oftentimes what ends up happening is that we get trained to be therapists and we're put into a little box, and that box
Correct.
doesn't fit most of us. And it
Yeah.
certainly doesn't fit our clients. And so what we decided to do was create education that, first off, was not boring, because I found so much of education, continuing education especially, to be boring. It was a checkbox. So I was like, no, we want to make sure that we're having fun, we're connecting, we're doing things that are experiential. And we also are looking at things that actually impact modern therapists now, which is, how am I a clinician? Not how do I do therapy, but how am I a clinician? Who am I as a person, and what am I bringing to the room? How am I as a business owner for those of us who have private practice? How do my business decisions impact the clinical work that I do? How am I as a human? And what am I facing in the world, and what are my clients facing? We also really appreciate the value of lived experience and wanting to make sure that our field is accessible to all, both from a client angle as well as from a clinician angle. And so both Kurt and I have done a lot of advocacy, and that's kind of the therapy movement, the modern therapist movement, is making sure that the things that we're learning, the things that we're communicating around, actually turns into real action, policy change, potentially legislation, groups of folks coming together and making sure that what therapy is relevant and helpful to our communities.
I love everything that you said.
Well, thank you.
And you know, for me also as a Latina, I'm a Latina LMFT, and I'm also a coach and consultant to other therapists. But as a Latina also, in wanting to advocate for mental health in my community, and who also we are as clinicians, as humans, right? It is so important to be able, for me, to step into a space where I also feel represented. And this is what I've also loved about your conference, because I've gone to many other conferences where there really was no diversity. You know, there really was no speakers that I could see that looked like me at all. And coming to Therapy Reimagined, there was so much diversity, beautiful, and so much representation. I really felt represented, and I felt welcome. And this is right? This is part of what it means to also be a modern therapist, to be able to understand the diversity within our field and our clients, right? And what else do you think that it means? What does it mean to you to be a modern therapist?
Well, we have two speakers that are speaking on finances, both Tiffany McLean and Lindsay Bryan Podvin. And I think that's part of it. It's also recognizing the balancing act that therapists have when it comes to charging for our services. So much of what we do has been in the past seen as something that should be given from the goodness of our hearts, or something that should be a right. And I actually do think that mental health should be something that we all have. But as therapists, I think part of the modern therapist challenge is learning how to make a really good living, not just a good living, not just a livable wage, but a really good living, while also aligning with the principles of providing high quality clinical care, which of course those things align, but high quality clinical care, figuring out in our society, which I don't think we've figured this out yet, but how to provide access to folks of all different income levels. And so it's something where there's these tensions that I think as modern therapists we end up trying to walk, or balance, or whatever the right word is, where we need to keep ourselves in the equation. I think so many people solve the equation by sliding their scale very low, or taking insurance plans that don't pay very much and require a lot of bureaucracy. And so I think for the modern therapist, it's recognizing that we are important, our work is important, and that there's a need for us to advocate for ourselves in order to be able to make the money that we want to make, and to live the life that we want to live, and actually have a career that's sustainable, rather than a whole bunch of zombies walking around super burned out and carrying the weight of the world. So
yes, zombies. And that is unfortunately what a lot of us become, because we do get burned out. It's very easy. It's very easy for us as therapists to get burned down, and this money conversation always tends to be a difficult one. And for us to be able to say, well, this is my fee, and this is why that's my fee, or to stick to it. But sometimes I feel like even among us therapists, there's judgment of like, why are you charging so much? You should slide your fee, or are you in this for the money? But it's understanding that, well, we are therapists and we're also business owners, but we wear
Yeah.
both of those hats. And we
Yeah.
also have families, we also have
Yeah.
lives. We also have bills. A lot of us have student loans from having gone to school. We
Sure.
have all this training and knowledge, right? And so a lot of times it's learning within ourselves also, like, okay, what's the discomfort with charging this amount?
Yeah.
And knowing that, yes, we can. Yes, we can charge this amount, right?
Yes. Yeah.
You can charge, and you don't need to be scolded for it. But I think
Yeah.
that's part of what I try to advocate among other therapists too, of like, let's have understanding, and also let's work from within
Yeah.
of why this is such a difficult thing with
Yeah.
charging. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think so many of us got into the field to give back to folks who were experiencing something similar to what we've experienced in our past, or people in our community who have not had access. I mean, I think especially when you're going from a place of representation and wanting to be a therapist who provides a lived experience that their clients are also experiencing, it can be very hard to turn someone down because of money. And so I think there's so many pieces to this, and obviously there's a lot of
Yeah,
we're not
there's a
here
lot
just
of
to talk
pieces.
about money, but
Yeah.
I think for therapists, I think it can be very hard because we come from such a mission-driven, heart-driven place, that
Hmm.
to say I'm going to charge enough money that I can see fewer clients and I can create a good life for myself feels very selfish. It feels very
Yeah.
decadent. And so to me, I really want to challenge folks who are having that struggle. Well, first come to Therapy Reimagined, listen to Tiffany McLean, listen to Lindsay Mulfry
Yeah.
Bodman, and
Yes.
make sure that you really listen to them about how your fees impact the clinical work, and how fees aren't the only measure of accessibility in therapy,
Correct.
and how we can really make sure that we're doing the right things. But I think, if we want to go back out into the therapy movement as a whole, the piece that I think that we're seeing a lot of in this year's conference and the speakers that we have is really this idea of challenging the status quo, the medical model, and looking at how, Dr. Jamie Merritt is going to be talking about redefining therapy. We had a conversation that's going to be on the podcast soon around, redefining therapy is coming to Therapy Reimagined, and just what that means. Like, what doesn't work? What needs to shift so that there are more experiential models, indigenous methods of healing? Like, how do we do this in a way that makes sense? We have Dr. Kristen Syme, who's coming to talk about why maybe even the definition of the depression in the DSM may not actually reflect most of our experiences, and to label things can be really unfortunate because it
And
makes
harmful.
something a medical problem versus a systemic problem. And so those are just a couple of them, but there's a lot of the work that we're doing in choosing the speakers and in bringing folks together is trying to challenge what is held as truth in our profession, because sometimes what's held as truth is harmful to clinicians and it's harmful to clients.
100%. Yes, it can definitely be harmful. And especially, it could be to all our clients, but especially I feel to our clients of color and communities of color and indigenous communities, and, and being able to understand all the differences and the beauty, and not pathologizing a lot of that, right? So there's a lot that we can learn. There's a lot that you can also learn from also joining the conference. I want to read a comment that we got from Michelle here. She said, we are worth our weight in gold. We invest in ourselves and our professional development. Absolutely, 100% agree with you. So other parts of being a modern therapist, and this is also where we come in as Kimball Collective, right, is, for example, as business owners, thinking about our brand, right? Creating a beautiful image for our brand, creating what is our mission? Figuring out who is our ideal client that we want to serve. Not just going into it with the mentality of, I'm just going to help everybody and anybody, right? No, it's really being able to know who you are and who you want to serve and how you're going to attract a lot of those clients. And that's where creating a brand comes in.
Yeah.
Which is also what Kimball Collective does, right? Like for our
Yes.
company, we are a hybrid company because we offer coaching, we offer life coaching, we also offer consultations where we help other entrepreneurs, therapists, wellness professionals build their business, build their private practice, and knowing what steps to take, from start to finish, as well as work through all the mental, emotional blocks that we have as entrepreneurs, as business owners. And the other side is our branding and design. So
Hmm.
I started this company with my brothers who are graphic designers, and some of them are joining us here.
Oh, nice. Hello.
Yes, so we have the twins, David and Daniel, who are my illustrators and designers, and then Mariano, also my logo specialist, designer. So we started this together, and they create beautiful designs and logos. And then my husband is a copywriter. He's been a professional writer for many years. So we basically combined all of that, and
Hmm.
we create the branding identity, which is the logo, the visuals, the full website. We can do the copy, which is the content that goes on your website, English and Spanish as well. All of that stuff is important. Um,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's hard, maybe as therapists, to understand why should I do that, or why
Yeah.
should I invest in a logo, why should I have a website, etc., etc. But
Yes.
but tell us on your end. I know you had reached out to us and we connected, and now we're one of the sponsors for Therapy Reimagined. What made you want to bring us on? What attracted you to Kimball Collective?
Well, I think I want to first talk about kind of what you just said around the importance of the brand and why someone should invest in it, and then I'll talk specifically about Kimball Collective. Um, I think the reason it's so important to have a solid brand and a solid website is that is your client's first impression of you. And I
Correct.
think, and there's studies that show that there are expectations that clients create prior to the first appointment. And if those expectations are positive and congruent with who you are, there are
Hmm.
better treatment outcomes. So there are actually clinical reasons that you need to have a really awesome website. So I'll just say that.
Yes. Yes.
But
Hmm.
I think the reason I wanted to connect with your group is, well, there's a number of reasons, but I think the piece that felt really, really resonant for me was your focus on creating culturally, respectful, culturally responsive websites for clinicians who potentially weren't being served by other website companies. And I
Hmm.
think there's so much, and especially I don't know how many people know this, but I work with my sister as well. And I love the idea of family being able to come together and I don't know how many of your brothers I met. I think I only met one brother, but
Right.
just, being able to be in community with your family, doing business together and doing such high quality work, it sang to me. I was like, okay, I gotta talk
Mhm.
to them. And just
Yeah.
in the conversations I've had, it's clear that you're really looking at clinicians not as clients or customers, but as the people you're called to serve. And I think
Yes.
that's so important because when we get to a place, and we recently did a podcast episode on this where, it's kind of like that you're selling out, like, okay, well, if I can just get this going or that going, like then we'll get big money from BetterHelp or whatever. When we start looking
Mm.
at clients or customers or clinicians as commodities, it just
Mm.
is horrible. And I've never, ever gotten that experience from you. You've always been so personable, and it's been always such a pleasure to talk with you. And just, I see your heart in every
Thank you.
conversation. And so to me, when I was able to see the quality of the work you do paired with your heart, your mission, your moral compass, and the ability to serve clinicians in a way that supports them and all of them,
Yeah.
that just was, that's just the importance to me. And as you know, I make sure that I vet every single person before we connect them to our conference. And it was a
Totally.
no-brainer after our conversation. So
Thank you, Katie. Wow, I'm like just honored. Thank you for saying all of that. Yes,
oh,
and
you're
it's so,
welcome.
and I'm so glad to hear that because it's so true that I have poured my
Mhm.
heart and soul into this.
Yeah.
And and working with my family is a beautiful thing. I think it's the best thing. I didn't know you work with your sister, so that's
You've
awesome.
interacted with her. Maggie is my sister.
What? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, now it's good to know. It's good to know.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did not know that, but that's
Hmm.
beautiful. I love
Yeah.
that. And you know
Yeah.
what's interesting is a lot of the clinicians we've worked with and we've served at Kimball Collective, they also have gone into business with family.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
created a whole branding package for a new group practice owner, and they are going into business with their brother and
Nice.
building a group practice. And we created everything from their logo, all the copy,
Hmm.
their website. And the clinicians, when they work with us, that's what they tell us. You know, it's like, oh, it's very personable. They feel like they
Yeah.
become part of the family, which that's
Absolutely.
what we want, you know, for anyone who comes works with us, that you become part of the family. And
Nice. I love
yeah,
it. I love
yeah.
it.
And the part I want to mention the part of the culturally inclusive part of the branding because that's very important to us.
Hmm.
As I had mentioned, I am Latina, and my brothers, you know, they're Latinos, and we work with a lot of Latinx and other therapists, not just Latinx,
Yeah.
but we work with a lot of other therapists of color. And this is very important to consider when including in the language, even.
Yeah.
For example, you know, like when we write copy in Spanish, Spanish tends to be very like, you know, it's either masculine or feminine with
Yeah.
the descriptions. But this is, for example, with Latina, Latino, but now we also use Latine and Latinx
Yeah.
or to be inclusive, right? And so this is part of what also comes in when we're writing our copy, when we're writing our content, considering those elements in the language
Yeah.
that is being used and in the visuals too, the designs. If you look at our designs, where we have a lot that are actually representative of different cultures. So yeah, that's
It's
definitely an
awesome.
important aspect. So let's wrap it up with talking about when the conference is going to happen and how people
Mhm.
can join.
Sure. So the conference is September 23rd through the 25th. We will be having a small live audience. It's actually going to be hybrid, but a small live audience at Universal City, like Hollywood, so the Sheraton Universal City. And we'll have some specific things for folks in the live audience. And we do have COVID precautions. We are going to follow the city and county mandates as far as requiring vaccination status and proof of negative COVID test, that kind of stuff. So that information is on the website. But we also have a really awesome virtual conference, which is where I think most of our folks are going to be. And that includes a full day of amazing business content, which you guys are going to be one of those sessions talking about, I'm sure,
Mm-hmm.
branding, culturally responsive branding or culturally
Yes.
inclusive branding.
Yes.
And we've got, some amazing folks giving, practical lessons on things. And I'm so excited you guys will be included
Mm-hmm.
there. We also have 2 full days of some amazing content. We'll have some that will be live streaming from Hollywood, and we'll be live streaming into the virtual conference. And then we also have some other folks, some breakout sessions and different stuff where we'll have the speakers in the chat, and we had to have
Mm-hmm.
discussion lounges. So we jump into a Zoom room after the talk so you can actually interact with the speakers. We're going to have different little rooms where people can kind of talk to each other and just like catch up with somebody in the conference. And then we also have games and amazing stuff. And there's going to be way more to do than you have time to do. And so all of the content is going to be available to folks. With CEs, we're available all the way through to the end of 2021. And so folks will be able to attend the 3 days of just a blast
Yes.
virtually, and then also catch
Yeah.
up on any of the talks that they missed. So
Yes. And
I'm excited.
yeah.
It's just so much fun.
I'm super excited too. And I know they can get a lot of CUs.
Yes.
There's also all kinds of prices, right? Because there's going to be raffles and then
Yeah.
discounts too, right? So like,
Oh, yes.
yes,
Thank you. I almost forgot. We have a virtual swag bag with
yes.
exclusive discounts and freebies for folks who sign up for the conference. You can find all of the information on therapyreimaginedconference.com.
Mm-hmm.
And the virtual swag bag, there's a whole, like in a drop down for a 10, there's like a virtual swag bag page. And I think we have literally thousands of dollars of discounts
Yes,
in the
there
virtual
is.
swag bag. It is
Yes.
ridiculous how generous our speakers and sponsors have been in providing these to our audience members. And so
Yes.
it's amazing.
There's a ton. There's a ton from everything, right, that a therapist might need,
Hmm.
clinically, business wise.
Yeah.
There's just so much. So yes, if it's therapyreimaginedconference.com, right? That's where they
Yes.
can go
Yes.
and they can get tickets and look at through all those discounts
Mm.
that there are. Also for us as sponsors, there's a code that they
Yay!
can use to get, I believe it's 15% off, right?
Hmm. I think
Yes.
so.
Yeah, so it's 2021 sponsor, and if you go on the website and you put the code, then you can get a discount for 15%. Plus, we are also giving away a bunch of stuff. We're giving during the conference, we're giving away one free illustration, coaching session with
Nice.
us, and there's going to be discounts also to our upcoming online course. Which I'm going to be launching, and it should be launched by the conference. But by the time the
Nice.
conference comes out, there's going to be an online course, self-paced, and everything about private practice from like start to finish. So there's going
Nice.
to
I
be
love it.
discounted access to that. So lots and lots and lots.
So much. Like basically, buy a ticket to the virtual conference at the very least, because it almost triply pays for itself because of all the discounts and the special deals and all the CEs you get.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Katie, for being here and for this wonderful conversation. We are so looking
Yeah, thank
forward.
you.
Thank you for having us also as part of
Yeah.
the conference. It means a lot to us. So we appreciate you so much. And thank you for everyone who joined us here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michelle. She said she referred someone to us. Thank you so much for that. And does anyone, before we go, have any questions for Katie? Any questions about the conference, Kimball Collective? Let's see. Let's just give it a moment to see if anyone has any comments or questions, and then we can go ahead and end. Let's see.
We have somebody
So
that just joined.
we just have someone that just joined. Thank you for
We're almost
joining
done.
us. We're almost done. But you'll be able to watch the replay. The video will be saved, and then we'll post it also, so you'll be able to watch the replay if you missed it. We had an amazing conversation with Katie Vernoy from Therapy Reimagined.
Thank you so much, Mishka. It was
Okay.
great to be here.
All right. Well, I don't see any questions coming in, but I did get a message saying thank you, Katie.
And if anybody has any
yes.
questions, they can catch me over at Therapy Reimagined on Instagram. You can PM me if you want, or IM, whatever the right word is. I feel old whenever I try to talk about social media. But feel free to reach out and ask us questions if you have questions about the conference. But most of the information should be on the website. So
how can people connect with you directly?
So for me directly, they can go to my website, katievernoy.com. I also, you can find me at katie@therapyreimagined.com. That's an email that's probably a good one if they're wanting to talk about the conference or those types of things. But we have, for Instagram, we have at Therapy Reimagined. I think it's at Therapy Reimagined, yeah. And then we also have, then I'm also at Katie Vernoy. So
wonderful. Okay, well, thanks so much for being here, Katie, and I look forward to more collaborations with you in the future.
Yes. Woohoo,
yeah,
woohoo.
And seeing you soon. Okay.
Yes, sounds good.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Have a great day, and bye, everyone. Thank you for joining us.